Today we talked about the 5 common mistakes that people make in CELPIP writing. Today we're going to talk about the 5 common mistakes people make in CELPIP speaking. When I say common, I really mean common. This is something that I notice the most in students. So I had to make a list of all the mistakes that people make. And this is what is often repeated time and time again. Why I'm telling you this is because you might be making the same mistakes because most of your friends and colleagues do, okay? The first mistake in speaking, which is very common, is pauses. And pauses are not bad, but what I mean is the wrong use of pauses. This simply means that people don't, first of all, pause between their sentences. You can see I'm doing that right now. I'm trying to pause between every sentence. I just did that now. Okay, and what this shows is it shows confidence. If you are not pausing if you speak one sentence after the other, it shows nervousness. And I learned how to pause because I'm a teacher, so I had to pause to help students digest or understand what I just said. Teaching actually taught me how to pause more. You can also practice that at home. When you're speaking and you're practicing, think of yourself as a teacher explaining something to a student and waiting for them to receive what you have just said, right? You would also do this, for example, if you're a parent and you're talking to your kid. You wouldn't say one sentence after the other. It's a kid, so you want to pause a little bit to help the kid digest. Think of examiners like kids, all right? Just pause a little bit more so they can understand, but it's also a public speaking rule, and speaking sounds way more confident and under control if you pause. The benefit to you is also you will be relaxed. Every time you pause, you take a breath, and that helps you regain confidence. It also gives you thinking time because you need to think at various moments during speaking about what you have to say next. So it does a lot of things. It also helps you with your marks because you get marks for tone, confidence, and control, okay? And even if, first of all, there are 100% marks for this, okay, so please do this. But assume, even if there were no marks and you just create a general understanding or image to the examiner that you're in control because you sound so confident with your pauses, you will gain more marks because the examiners marking you are human beings. It's not AI. So they have the positive impression. It's human nature to think of someone pausing as someone with power. So use that to your advantage. And how long you should pause? 1 second is good. Some people even say 2 seconds between sentences or between major points. I would say 1 second, sometimes 2 seconds might be too much. Okay, so make sure to pause. And also, there are just so many benefits. It helps you get rid of the ums and and so, people doing all that stuff. They're fillers. You want to change them with pauses. Okay, the second most common problem seen in CELPIP speaking candidates is being robotic. This is a problem with males mostly. Females not so much because females are more expressive. But males would be, for example, part 6 of speaking. You're giving a bad news. Or maybe you're more expressive there. Let's talk about part 5. And you're advising your friend to buy a dog over a cat. You would say, I would really advise you to buy a dog because dogs are fun and loving. Now, there's no emotion here. It's fun, loving, and you're trying to compare and persuade the person, but without any emotions. In real life, some people actually are like that, but in CELPIP, you just have to pretend and exaggerate and show that you really care just for a few minutes, 20 minutes of your test, and then you can be yourself again, okay? So how you want to do this is in the exam, you'd be like, I really think that you should go for the dog over the cat. Dogs are way more loving and provide a lot of emotional support compared to cats that don't really care much. So the fluctuation in volume here, you would notice this is what native speakers do too. They use a lot of expressions, even on the most dull topics that you wouldn't care about. There's just this extra effort to put care. Think about customer service agents, how they talk, right? They're almost like doing a dance in front of you when they're talking because that is part of their job, and your job here is to be not monotone, show a good tone, and emphasize and exaggerate your feelings and words. Mistake number 3 is timing. Obviously, start on time and finish on time. It's simple logic, but let me elaborate. If you don't start on time and if you delay after like 5 seconds, you're trying to be smart, trying to speak for a lesser time so you don't have a lot of mistakes, you lose marks because examiners can see right through it. They want to make sure you start speaking when you're prompted to start speaking. Do not give any pause at the start. When you finish, a good technique is to try to finish 5 seconds before the actual time. Almost everybody ends up speaking more. than what is allotted. Okay, CELPIP speaking is like 1 minute or 90 seconds. It is not enough. So people tend to speak more and they always exceed the time. So it's better you try not to think of 90 seconds if it's a 90-second question. Think of it like 85 seconds. And if it's a 60-second question, try to finish at 55. I do that, so I've done so many, right? As a teacher, for years I've been doing CELPIP speaking. If I set the time for 55 seconds, I always exceed 55 seconds. But if I did 60 seconds, I would have exceeded that, and that's a problem, okay? So set a time 5 seconds before for every speaking question so you finish on the actual given time. Mistake number 4 is not using enough connectors. Where does this mistake happen most often is in part 3 and 4. Yeah, that's the picture question, right? That's where people are like, I can see this here, on the left I can see this, over here I can see this. It's so much descriptions of the picture, and the connection, the whole structure is gone. So where is the furthermore, I can see this, moreover, I can see this, interestingly, I can see this, however, this person is doing this, overall, these are the things I can notice. Now, you don't have to do all of these connectors. I'm just giving an example. Doing 2 to 3 connectors are enough per 60-second questions. Maybe 3 connectors are enough for, not maybe. You have to use 3 connectors at least in the 90-second questions. How? Because usually they have 3 points. So you would already have firstly, secondly, thirdly, and those would be your connectors minimum, right? So using connectors throughout the questions is very, very important, but especially in 3 and 4, parts 3 and 4, because that's where people miss it usually. Okay, now the last point that I'm looking at my notes and I'm laughing because I wrote on part 5, doing too much. So don't do too much. And this is especially true in the question where you get to talk about a friend or a possession or a vacation. I'm talking about part 2. Okay, so in this type of question, people try to do too much. What I mean here is they try to talk too much, too many points, and you only have 60 seconds to talk about it. For example, let's say the question is about your best road trip. People are going to try to explain as many points as possible, right? Like, it was a road trip in Calgary, we went here, we went there, spent this much money, had this vacation time off from work, went with these people, and so on. Quality is more important than quantity. Destroy all those points, just get 2 to 3 points and explain them with good quality. That is more important than you explaining 10 different points very basically, like in a very basic way, like 1 sentence each, without quality. Okay, so instead of me giving you all the things that I did in Calgary, maybe I'll talk about how I went there and loved the scenery because they had beautiful mountains, the rivers were pure blue water, some lakes were turquoise color, things that I've never seen before, and that was a great landscape that I had experienced. Another reason, now this is my second point, another reason I loved my trip to Alberta is because the people were very nice. They were very friendly, accommodating, and helpful. Every place I went to, they were smiling, and they always told me, why don't you move here? And I found that to be a very hospitable environment. So you see how I'm describing each point, it has detail. Instead of me saying, I love the scenery, I love the people, I love everything is gone now. So you get more range of vocab if you describe each point more. You also wouldn't have the pressure of doing more points. Mentally, you'll be better. And this is what's needed for the marks. Quality is more important than quantity. You would also notice you will have lots of talking points. If you explain scenery, you have lots of examples and explanations to give. So it's not like by doing 2 to 3 points, you will be struggling with the time. You would actually be okay with the time. You'll be more in control because you have just a few things to explain just in detail. This was just an example of part 2, but it is the same for every type of question. Please make sure to not try to include too many points. Include a few points per question. Just make sure they're quality points, which is going to be done if you describe them well, with good quality, range of vocab, examples, and good descriptions. All right. I hope this helps. If you like this video, please, as usual, share, subscribe, and like, and we'll talk soon. Take care.